Okay, so this is basically a biopic about the band Mötley Crüe, and I knew virtually nothing about it. Never listened to their music or anything. I knew Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee existed, but that's about it. Which is actually very interesting considering they're the bass player and drummer. Usually the lead singers and guitarists are the most well-known figures in a band. But not in this case, which does make sense when you get to know these characters. And apparently these guys have a bit of a reputation of being party animals too. So this looked like it could be fun, and I guess it was kinda fun. I mean, within the first 2 minutes there's partying, drugs and multiple boobs. And that pretty much covers large chunks of the movie, which is more or less what I expected, so no complaints there. But it did surprise me in one regard too. As much as it portrayed them as having fun and living life to the fullest, it didn't shy away from the bad stuff either. It was actually surprisingly introspective. Honest, I guess you could say. They admit to a lot of mistakes they did and own up to them. So it's not just glorifying the rockstar party lifestyle, although there's definitely that too. And it even dove a little bit into some of the personal family stuff, although that didn't really feel fleshed out enough, and maybe even a bit manipulative to be honest. And as far as the main story goes, it basically covers the 80s. The band's rise to fame and their success and struggles, up until the 90s. And it's very much focused on the partying and the drama. Not the music. The music definitely takes a back seat here, especially the creative process. There's a fair amount of their music in the soundtrack, and they do some live shows too. But as far as the writing and the recording process goes, there's not much of that in here. And there's really nothing new or extraordinary to this movie either. It's your basic rockstar shenanigans. But it works, and I was thoroughly entertained. That being said, this is definitely no masterpiece, and on the technical side of things, nothing really impressed me that much. I did like the pacing though, and I thought the occasional narration and the fourth wall breaking worked surprisingly well too. Nothing much wrong with the acting either. Not even Machine Gun Kelly was terrible. But to me, however you pronounce his name, Ramsay from Game of Thrones stole the show here. He's basically the grumpy old man in the band and I loved it. I related to him the most and the character and the performance were just top notch. He plays a guitarist and that was definitely the highlight for me. Which is interesting because his character definitely got the least amount of attention. Probably because he stirred up the least amount of drama. So it only makes sense to focus on the other characters more. But yeah, I went into this wanting a solid fun movie, and I got a solid fun movie. It pretty much delivered exactly what I expected, but also not much more really. It's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't even know how much of it is true. But I honestly don't really care, since I'm definitely no Mötley Crüe historian. Or fan even. So they might as well have made it all up and I wouldn't even know the difference. I just know I had a good time with it and sometimes that's enough. Especially when you know the movie's not trying to be something it's not. It's not going for a Kubrick level of perfection. It's good enough and that's that. So would I recommend it? If you want to know more about Mötley Crüe? Or just want to see a bunch of rock stars having fun and breaking stuff? Sure. Otherwise, probably skip it. Or don't. I'm not your dad. But I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need a couple of those 1980s sports cars. And hey, why not drop a comment below and check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.